New Day family, it's Pastor John here, and man, just thanking the Lord and just reflecting on such an incredible Vision Sunday for this coming year, 2022. Halsey and I, after having been out for 2 months with dealing with her brain cancer diagnosis, it was just such a joy to be back with the people that we love so much, our church family. And this whole season has just shown us that our church really is family. We have a great family, we have a great church family, and there's just such a powerful community around us. And it's just been such a joy, and it was a joy to be back. And I just want to do like a kind of maybe a brief summary of the vision, just because I just believe in it. And I just think that we have such a unique kind of opportunity and calling in this moment to invite people into something special. And I think God is doing something. And so I want to share that maybe in a brief version. I preached, I think, a very long sermon today. I don't know how long it was, but the service was 2 hours. And so I was probably at least half of that because everything else probably together might not have even been an hour. I looked down when I was preaching and I was like, man, this is going long. And so I thought maybe a more condensed version, more simplified version would be good. And so, the title of the message today was Keep It Real. Trying to bring that 90s phrase back, but it's probably not going to work. And our vision for the year, just kind of like the statement that I wanted to give us, the word for the year is just real. And the vision statement for the year is helping real people meet the real Jesus. And a big thing that I think is important in this moment, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think God is showing us something, and I think this is something worth pursuing. That I think that the narrative of the world today is that everyone is so divided and so polarized, and everyone's just fighting over everything, and that's true. We fight over masks, and people fight over a lot of different things, and there's a lot going on. But my theory is, and just judging off my own life and my own experiences, because that's the most reliable thing. People can give statistics, but everyone has an agenda these days, and so you never know if is it genuine. You can find statistics that say anything you want them to say these days. Somebody has done a study in favor of what you think, and so just going off my own experience, my theory is I don't think that people are as divided or polarized or even obsessed with politics as the media or even social media would lead you to believe. I think controversy and our fallen sinful nature is just attractive to us. And so I think controversy and division, I just think they tend to amplify and to maybe seem louder than they really are. And of course, listen, we all know people that are, just hopelessly progressive or whatever, conservative and whatever, and once again, there's some good and bad to all that, and everyone falls probably a certain way. But my theory is, as I live my real life in my real neighborhood and take my kids to the real school and I get to meet people there, and, as we're, getting my wife treated at MD Anderson and interacting with people, my theory is that the majority of people, 3/4 of people, are just real people, living their real life, working a real job, paying real bills. Maybe they have a leaning on certain issues, and maybe they have some opinions, but they're just trying to live a real life, manage their real anxiety or their real depression, and they're trying to break their addiction to their smartphone and trying to save up a little money, go on a vacation once a year, trying to find purpose in life, trying to make their relationships work, trying to find meaning and fulfillment. They just want real relationships and real community, real connection with people. They're just real people. And my thought is, I think we spend so much time maybe focusing on all these controversial or polarized issues that we tend to overlook the masses that are just real, down-to-earth people. And I came out of 2 Timothy chapter 2, where Paul is talking to Timothy, and this is Paul in the Bible, the Apostle Paul, the last letter that he writes, and he kind of gives Timothy kind of his final marching orders and kind of passes the baton to him and gives him, your last words are your most important words. And really the big thrust of what Paul's message is to Timothy is, don't get distracted, don't get involved in drama, He says in 2 Timothy 2, verse 23, have nothing to do with foolish, ignorant controversies, for you know they only breed quarrels. The Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but kind to everyone. He tells him in verse 4, no soldier gets entangled in civilian pursuits. So, don't get involved in all the things of the world. Like, Christ is the one that is sending you on mission. Stay on his mission. Don't get on some other mission of the country you're in or the province that you're in. Stay focused on the mission. Don't get distracted by suffering. Verse 3, share in suffering as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. Verse 8, he says, remember Jesus Christ, risen from the dead. So forget all these other things. Avoid it. Avoid the foolish, ignorant controversies. Remember Jesus. And then in verse 2, he says, and what you've heard from me, entrust to other people who will teach other people. So it's really just a big, hey, stay focused on what really matters, on what really changes lives. And be smart, like Timothy. And I say this to myself, be smart, John, and be smart, you whoever's watching this. You're a smart person. Look out into the world and be like, those issues, those controversial topics, like there's no resolution to that. That's just drama. Like that's just people arguing about stuff. And people have their mind made up on, how they approach COVID or how they approach whatever they approach today, or, who's ruining everything. Like everybody's got their opinion and no one's changing each other's mind. Just realize these are just like snares meant to distract us and to get us involved in drama, or, to act like we're making a big difference by, arguing online or changing a profile picture or, whatever it might be. Like, avoid those things. And I love it. He says, man, remember Jesus. And then he says, go reach real people and train real people with the real things that you know. And I think that that's a really important message for us today, is to keep it real, because we can waste our life. We can waste our life. We can waste our time. We can waste our life on all of the controversial stuff where we know we're not changing anybody's mind. And yet my thought is I really believe that the majority of people that we interact with on a daily basis are just real people looking for real hope, have real needs they need to be met. And as followers of Jesus, how cool would it be if this year we just, shut out all the noise, all the drama, all the distractions, maybe put the limits on our smartphone that we need to not be just on media all the time. And we really focused on what's real in our life, on the real people, on our real relationship with God, on our real church that we gather with, for a real worship service. And what if we were just focused on real people and making a real difference and living local? Everyone wants to change Washington or change the cultural tide, and nobody wants to get to know their neighbor. Maybe impact your neighbor before you're trying to change the cultural tide of like civilization, and that we would have the humility to see our smallness and to say, you know what, like I might not change the world. In fact, most of us, we won't really change the world, but you can change a life, and you can change multiple lives. And that's an amazing, wonderful, and beautiful thing. And so that's kind of what our focus is this year, is to really keep it real and to really focus on helping real people meet the real Jesus. The people that are open, the people that are receptive, the people that, that are humble enough to admit that they don't have it all together, that they need a savior, and that there really possibly could be someone that created all of this, that actually makes sense. Like, just engaging people with that hope, engaging people with that truth, and not feeling the need to argue people down or to debate every issue, but just to be open to the hearts that we believe God is already working on around us, including our own. And so three simple ways that we're going to do that this year as a church. Like, how are we going to help real people meet the real Jesus? The first is we're just going to commit to being on a real mission. In the Christian faith, the word mission really just means like telling people about Jesus, creating awareness of Jesus, sharing the gospel with people, inviting people to church, just giving people some way to take a spiritual step towards Jesus, maybe in a way that they didn't see coming, or maybe they weren't able to activate in and of themselves. And we want to do this because Jesus offers real hope. And so if you really want to help people, if you really want to make a difference, if you really want to change the world, the best way you can do that is to share the good news of Jesus with somebody, or invite somebody to church, or invite somebody to your community group, or invite somebody into a spiritual conversation. That's one of the best things that you can do. One of the coolest things that happened today was, we've been so blessed being at MD Anderson, and we've built so many great relationships already as we get my wife treated for her brain cancer. We've built so many relationships with so many different people, and we had this incredible, brilliant neurosurgeon that did such an incredible surgery on my wife. Was such a blessing to us. We became friends with her. She was she's brilliant, but she's very humble. And so she's like, 10 times smarter than you, but doesn't talk to you like she is 10 times smarter. So we just really enjoyed her. And, and what we've done with all the people we've interacted with in MD Anderson or anywhere is like, we try to treat them like a real person. We ask them questions about their life and their family, and you can tell that normally people don't do that. They just kind of like interact and it's an exchange or whatever. And we just assume every person is a soul, every person matters to God. And so, she just kind of almost in the process became a friend. And we actually invited her on Friday to come to church on Sunday. And, we didn't know if she was going to come or not. And I get there to preach today. And I'm not kidding you. A neurosurgeon from MD Anderson that performed a 12-hour brain surgery on my wife to remove 70% of a brain tumor that she has, and went to Harvard, Oxford, worked at Mayo Clinic, all these legendary places. I get to preach and she's sitting in the crowd. And afterwards we talked to her and she was just so encouraging. She just said, man, this place feels like so much love and so much hope. And she just said, man, I have not been to a church in like 2 years. She goes, we just moved here, then COVID happened, and it's just been, don't know whether we should go or shouldn't, all that kind of stuff. And she was like, this is the first time I've gone in 2 years. And she was such an encouragement to us. And it just reminded me that you never know what's going on in someone's life. And you never know. We often say no for people. They'll never come, or they're not going to be interested in this or whatever. And there's a lot of people we've invited that have never come. Definitely the majority, don't ever follow up with you on it. But man, if you ask 20 people to come with you to church, if one person says yes, it will make your year. And there's a lot of power in one person willing to be open to what God's going to do in their life. There's a lot of power in that. And so it was just so cool to see that. And it just reminded me that like, there's a lot of power in like, hey, listen, I go to this church. I like it. Maybe you will too. Or, God's done this great work in my life. Maybe he'll do this work in your life too, right? And so we want to be people on a real mission and just be mindful of all the real people in our lives and the fact that people are looking for hope, but they often don't know where to look. And as Christians, we know where to look. And so just out of love for them and out of a desire for them to have this incredible, life-giving relationship that we have with Christ in life or in death, the hope that we have, man, there's a great need right now. And the need is so great that we don't need to be super creative or super innovative. We just need to be super clear about what it looks like to walk with Jesus or how they can get connected to a church. There's such a need right now. There's so much of a pessimism right now that I believe people are genuinely open to hope. And so one of the ways that we're going to help people, help real people meet the real Jesus is we're just going to live on a real mission and engage with people. The second thing is real ministry. And this one is real simple. We're going to find needs in our community and we're going to meet those needs. And we had some incredible leaders today that highlighted some of our ministries and a few of the groups that we as New Day are going to focus on specifically in our community. These are real people. This is not a hypothetical thing. These are real people around us that have real needs. Some of those groups are elderly people, are widows, are refugees that are in our community. And then also, there's one more, or orphans. And we've got different organizations that are represented in all of those different groups that we're going to get connected to, that we're going to highlight, that we as a church are going to come around. And so if you are part of New Day Church this year, you're going to make a difference in the lives of widows in our community, elderly people, refugees, and orphans. And that's just because, man, that's God's heart for those kinds of people, for the outsider, for the people that have been through rough situations or had a rough life. Like, we're going to make a real difference. And we're going to do that this year. Like, we're going to make a real difference in lives this year. We're going to invite people, and then we're going to minister to people in all different kinds of ways. And it just inspires me so much that, like, we're going to really do that. And my fear for anyone watching this is we're just going to waste this year and we're not going to make a difference, or we're going to sit on social media too much, or, we're going to, just check out and have this kind of self-righteous sense of I'm a good person, but we don't ever do anything. We don't ever help anybody. And so the church is important for us to be a part of, because it's accountability, that we're really making a real difference and not just having a bunch of opinions about things or running our mouth on social media about things, but like we're actually engaging real needs. And I need this, right? Because I get busy in my life, and I have this sense that I want to help people, but then I never actually help anybody. And so the beauty of like the real church and walking together is we're reminded every single week and every single Sunday when we gather with our group to be loving people and encouraging people and to making a real difference. And the church helps provide those opportunities for us to actually do that. And so we're going to do that this year. And so if you're part of a different church, that's awesome. But if you don't have a church, man, come be a part of our church and come be a part of meeting these needs and these ministries and offering real hope to real people. And the last thing is we're going to commit to real multiplication. We're going to start real churches and real part of the greater Houston, Harris County community. In the name of Jesus, we're going to create a family of churches, and we're going to put real people and real leaders on the ground to reach real people. And we want to make a real difference. And so we're going to launch for sure New Day Magnolia this year, which is going to be awesome. And we're also open to other opportunities in the greater Houston area. We've talked to another church recently, and we're just open to what God would have for us as a people. But once again, like in 2022, as Paul tells Timothy, he's like, man, avoid the drama, avoid the distractions, and man, just train up people and just reach people and remember Jesus. And that's what we're going to do. And one of the most important ways we can do that is by starting new churches and new works, so that we can reach more and more people with the hope of Jesus. And so it's going to be a great year at New Day. We're so excited. We're just going to keep it real, right? And my encouragement to you is to, whoever you are and whatever you're doing, to really commit to being smart and mindful about the things you give your time to, the things you give your effort to, the things you give your energy to, and always be asking the question, is this really something that's helping me to love God? Is this really something that's helping me to love people? And to have the freedom to stop doing things, to stop being too busy, to stop complicating your life, when at the end of the day, it's about knowing God and loving God and making a difference in the lives of real people. And that is such a beautiful thing, and it brings glory to God. It's fulfilling for our lives. And the reason why it's fulfilling is because that's what we were created to do. When something feels fulfilling like that, it's like this echo of like, man, I'm tapping into the reason why I was created. And so we don't want to miss that this year. And I don't want you to miss that this year. And so I just want to encourage you this year to realize that, man, you can make a difference in the lives of real people. And here at New Day, we can help you do that. And as a community, we're going to be here loving people, protecting our hearts and protecting our peace from all the chaos in the world, walking together, encouraging each other, being a spiritual family. It's going to be awesome. And we're going to make a difference in the world for the glory of God and for the good of people. And you're encouraged to be a part of that with us. Lastly, we're starting a new sermon series next week called Dream Again, which we're really excited about. There's so much pessimism in the world, and we're like, man, it's time to dream again as to what God can do in your life and in my life, in our church. And the next 3 weeks, we're just going to be talking about, man, how good life can be, how wonderful our God is. And we're going to keep like preaching that message of hope and preaching that message of newness, because people really need to hear it. So I want to encourage you to be there and bring a friend, invite somebody. It's never been easier to invite someone. You literally can just text them in 2 seconds. You could invite 10 people in literally 10 seconds. And listen, they all might say no. Who cares, right? I go to this church. I like it. Hey, you might want to check it out too. Or, hey, let's get together sometimes and tell me what you think about God. I want to hear your thoughts, and can I share my thoughts with you? It doesn't have to be a super complicated thing, but it's important, because I know deep down, no matter what anybody says, people are dealing with real issues, and everyone wonders deep down about the real questions of life. Everybody, to some degree, feels that sense of emptiness inside, and we know that Jesus Christ is the ultimate fulfillment of that. So once again, you're invited to join us, but I just want to come on here and share this with you. This is my 20-minute summary. This took me 20 minutes, which shows you how long the message was in today in the service, but I hadn't preached in 2 months, so it was what it was. But I love you guys, man, I'd love to see a new day with us next week. But excited for a great year, excited for 2022. Let's keep it real. Let's help real people meet the real Jesus.